If you're betting on sports, you're stupid because it's rigged.
Please call 800-GAMBLER. We offer support, treatment, and hope.
Three, two, one. Broadcasting tape delayed from somewhere outside the Guardians baseball stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, where today's subject is gambling. I'm Bill, this is JP, and this is Sports Economy 101, and we're here to pump you up. So today is about gambling, the gift that keeps on giving. It's like NIL money. Sports gambling is the gift that keeps on giving. Why? Because these guys are idiots. Luis Ortiz, a pitcher for Cleveland. There's this thing about prop bets. You can make all kinds of prop bets, 3-pitch balls, whatever you want. So Luis Ortiz evidently found a way to gamble on himself. So I'm going to read a little bit here about what he did. He's not been accused. He's just being looked into. And he's been suspended for this for now. He's still getting paid, though, right?
But everybody's looking at him as if he's did it.
Well, if you look at the video, it's like, oh, and there was a bet on these pitches.
That's right.
Okay. Well, however you want to look at it, there was a bet on these pitches, and he made sure the bet worked out in his favor. If he betted on it, he may not have betted. It may have been his cousin's brother's best friend.
Right. That's right.
All right. So anyway, so here's what the deal is. The Integrity Compliance 360. They're a betting integrity firm that works for the sports books. Okay. They're not there just to monitor all betting and make sure everybody plays fair. No, they're there to make sure DraftKings and FanDuel win. So anyway, so
you're not cheating them.
Yeah, you're not cheating them. All right.
Right.
So anyway, so the firm flagged bets placed on 2 specific pitches, a slider to Randy Arozarena on June 15th.
Arozarena, yeah.
Arozarena.
Mm-hmm.
And a slider to Pedro Paez. He plays for the Cardinals on June 27th. Both pitches were the first of their respective innings. The Aronedes, can't say his name anyway, opening the bottom of the second in what would eventually become a 57-pitch inning. That's terrible.
That is.
And Paez opening the top of the third. The bets were reportedly on those pitches being a ball or a hit by pitch. Both pitches were rather extremely outside the zone. And if you watch, one, the catcher had to do this to catch the ball, and the other one was in the dirt in front of him. They were balls.
They were both the first pitch?
First pitch. And what they're looking into is there were prop bets made on the first pitch in that inning in 2 different games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very random stuff, but if somebody's getting paid to track these bets, then you're like, well, that's interesting. If you just went back and looked and said, well, the ball was about this far off the plate, okay, you don't know. But
right.
If it's out there, yeah, it's intentional.
He's trying to get away with something.
Somebody's trying to get away with something. So anyway, so that's why he's suspended. And Major League Baseball is looking into this. So we shall see. But professional players are making tons of money. Why would they do this? So what I want to get your opinion is, how enticing is it for college players to try to rig some of these games?
Well, in my opinion, it would seem like college athletes would be the ideal candidates to do this kind of stuff, right? One, there's so many different colleges that, ain't nobody watching for an
LSU Mississippi State baseball game.
Not even LSU.
In April.
Like if you just say if it's Kent State versus Ohio, nobody's watching that game. There's just two colleges playing, and nobody's paying attention, and you don't know who the the pitcher is, more than likely,
Yeah.
right? And so if he throws the ball outside, nobody's even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But more than likely, there's a prop bet for just about every game, you know? So
In this place, these people are watching
that's
all
right.
the bets.
That's
And
right.
hey, somebody won this weird prop bet. How'd that happen?
Right. You just happen to have, but I think, for college players, they could probably get away with it more because there's not going to be as much money invested in it.
Yeah.
For them to make $100 here or there just on something like that, that's not bad. If you're a pro athlete, what are you doing, right? Although,
What are you doing?
although college players are starting to make just as much as pro players, but not in sports like baseball and outside of football and basketball. But to me, the thing I think is concerning is the fact that it's really rather easy to do it. I know that they have organizations for the for the sports books because there's so much money involved that they have people monitoring and and in the past gambling issues have been flagged by the FBI. So there's a lot of resources involved to catch people from gambling. But now that
There's so much going on now.
Right. Now that gambling is so accessible, it is almost impossible to keep up with everything that has happened. That's right.
Now on the phone, baby. On the fancy phone.
You got, I have a friend of mine. She has a college student. She has a son who's his third year in college.
Yeah.
The entire time when I visited her, he was on his phone, and I thought, well, he must be texting. He must be doing something. No.
Yeah.
He was watching the bets from the NCAA basketball tournament, and he was following all of his bets. And so I'm literally like, this kid probably doesn't have enough money to take his girlfriend out to a nice steak dinner.
But he's got like 82 bets placed on.
That's right.
That was the first weekend.
Because they promote it as if it's just for fun. But in reality, most people don't have money to bet.
Yeah.
So, all of this stuff is so easily accessible. I can see where it could get out of hand.
Yeah. Well, they promote it. You can place $5 here, $5 there. Your first 8 bets are free. They reel you in, baby.
Reel you in.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, what do you think the prop bet is anyway? The prop bet was really created so somebody's mom who may not even know who the players are can bet. The more regular Joes you get involved in betting, the more money the sports books will make. Because we all know, and we've said it on this podcast before, the casinos never lose.
No.
They never lose.
They
only lose a little bit.
Yeah.
But
that's why they hire these people.
That's right. That's why they exist.
Yeah.
If the sports bet, if the casinos were 50-50, a lot of them would close down. But they never do. They keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Let me look this up. DraftKings is a publicly traded company. Let's see what DraftKings. Yeah. Let's see what DraftKings stock is going for today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stock is going for.
DKNG is a stock symbol, and they're going for $42.80. Stock was up 46 cents today. They're in business to make money. They're in business to take your money.
That's right.
You're not going to lose.
Yeah. It's fun. It's all in fun, right?
It's all in fun. That's right. Till you lose your house.
As long as they're making
car.
money, it's really fun for them. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's right. That's the reason why when you go to the casino and they're like, another drink, sir, it's free.
It's free.
Because they know.
The more inebriated you are.
They're robbing you blind. They'll give you that little $10 drink.
Yeah.
Because they know you're spending.
Yeah.
$1,000 and you're just losing it, like like you just have for pocket change.
Yeah. But anyway, give us a little bit of history of things that you know of sports betting that's went way wrong.
Well, I'm going to focus on MLB. Of course, the obvious one is 1919, the Black Sox scandal. The White Sox, which is really, when you think about it today, it's just unbelievable. But I mean, it was
Who
1919.
Manfred Mann just made them eligible for the Hall of Fame. What a guy!
Yeah, all of them have been gone forever. So the White Sox, 8 of the White Sox players in 1919, they were playing Cincinnati Reds in the World Series, and they decided, you know what, we're going to throw the World Series, and basically as a part of a gambling investment, they get their cut if they lose, and of course they were found out. It was the first big sports scandal, and they were banned from baseball for life. But
Because it's a lot easier to rig a game if you rig it to lose.
That's right. That's right. I can't imagine getting to the World Series and doing that. What they did, and they paid for it for the rest of their lives. And then, of course, the other obvious one is Pete Rose, the hit king. In 1989, was it Bowie Kuhn?
Bowie Kuhn, yes.
Yeah, he said, you know what, Pete Rose would not be eligible for the Hall of Fame, and he's banned from baseball for life. And and he meant it, because the one rule that they have in baseball is you don't bet on baseball, right? And Pete Rose denied it forever. He literally denied it for 40 years. I never bet on baseball, blah, 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 blah. And here we go, 30 years. And then here we go. He gets he starts getting sickly and getting old. And then he's like, yeah, I bet on baseball. So, I mean, he denied it. He went on his radio shows and everything and had everybody support him. And then all of a sudden he said, yeah, I did it. But he was banned for life, and now he's eligible for the Hall of Fame because you're banned for life. The moment you die, you're eligible for the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
He will be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He just had to die first.
You know what I think? I think since we do a sports show, I think I'm going to become a voter for the Hall of Fame. I'm going to write somebody a letter and say, look, this show is so popular, I need to be a voter. And I'm going to vote for Pete Rose for the Hall of Fame.
I think ultimately, I think he will get it. I mean, God, man, I think he's still the hit king. Nobody else is beating his record, right? No. So, I mean, he was a great, great player. He deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. He would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
But compared to today's player, as far as his off the field stuff, he was a kind of a shining example.
Yeah. Well, okay.
He only bet on he said he only bet on his team to win. See, all these other people are betting on
that's what he said.
Weird stuff.
He also said he didn't bet.
I believe
who knows what he did. And I mean, it was a different time then. Like I can't explain to people who may be younger, who may just happen to run into this podcast. The 70s and 80s and 90s were a lot different with athletes because they became mega stars.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't have anybody following them, or the reporters barely followed them. They would ask them questions here.
All you had was your local beat reporter for the newspaper.
That's right.
That's it.
And occasionally you had a national game, and one national guy for that sport would come in town, and they would ask you a few questions. Now you have games that are televised every day.
Every day.
Broadcast nationally every day. I mean, it's just, you can't go out of your house without somebody going, "Oh, that's such and such." And they take their phone out, want to take a picture.
Yeah.
You do something wrong, and it's on. Somebody's filming it.
Yep.
So it was a different time. It was just a different time. So we don't know what these guys were doing back then, and people never criticizing. Whereas anybody does anything now,
you had to go to a payphone with a dime or a quarter or whatever it was at the time. Call the bookie.
That's right. That's right.
From a payphone.
And you had to do it secretly because you weren't supposed to be doing it because it was illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so, I mean, it's not the same today. Now you could just get behind on your debt. I don't know who collects the debt now. If you are running up the debt on, on a sports app, what happens? Do they get the money first? You can't
It's tied to your credit card.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You place a bet, your credit card is charged. Cha-ching. Right. I don't bet, but my guess is that's how it works.
Right. So there's no big jockey coming out there and, roughing you up if you don't pay your debts.
No, that ain't happening. Yeah. Now, the credit card company may send somebody to get you, but the sports book ain't.
I got you.
Anyway. But anyway, the moral of this whole story is, folks, if you're betting on sports, you're stupid because it's rigged.
It really is. And
it really is.
Here's what I will say. We've talked about it. We've talked about it before. You can't watch a sporting event without seeing DraftKings commercials and all these, fantasy, daily fantasy sports, prop bets, all these, even ESPN now has ESPN Bet.
They've got a betting app. Yeah.
Right. How can you actually be what is supposed to be
a journalistic integrity place?
Right. Sports journalism.
Yeah.
You are the standard for sports journalism, and yet you have an ESPN Bet in every damn show that you have on the channel. Yeah. You have a section for ESPN Bet.
Yeah. What really just floors me every time I see it is when the announcers start talking about odds.
Right.
It just floors me.
Right. Hey, you can be watching an MLB game and they'll literally be like, we're gonna go with Aaron Judge to hit a homer this game, blah 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 blah. Go to DraftKings and bet this prop, blah 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 blah. So it's
got 2 to 5 odds to get a home run.
That's right. It's like it's a regular thing now. Remember 20 years ago when if you said anything about gambling on TV, it was the sin.
Yeah.
Right. So with all that to say, the more that it becomes normalized, the more people will figure out a way to get over on it.
Well, my opinion, what eventually will have to happen, I don't know if it ever will, is they'll have to end prop bets.
Yeah.
To where basically all you can do is gamble on winners and losers.
Right.
You take the home dog, whatever, but prop bets are way too prevalent out there for all this weird stuff. Like the first pitch of an inning first pitch of the 7th inning. Who's watching that?
Right. Gamblers.
That's
right.
Gamblers. The Integrity Compliance 360. They're watching.
Jacksonville and Tennessee on a Thursday night game in December when both teams have 3 wins on the season. Yeah. That game is on. Who's watching it? Gamblers.
That's right.
That's it. And people who are related to the players on the teams. That's it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Did you know, I found this out. Do you know what the first official prop bet was?
I have no idea. How long ago was this?
It goes to the 1980s.
Wow.
They weren't prevalent. It was the first one.
Was
and
this
then
was
after
this
that-
was this for a Super Bowl?
Yes, it was.
Okay, all right. So the first official prop bet was probably in Las Vegas for a Super Bowl, probably the coin toss.
No, it was
No,
William the Refrigerator Perry. You know
Yeah.
that year that the Chicago
Yeah.
Bears were
to
doing
score
the
a
Super Bowl
touchdown.
shuffle.
To
And they,
score a
the
touchdown.
prop bet was set up in Vegas for William Refrigerator Perry
Yeah.
to score a touchdown. Because
Wow.
you remember they kept giving him the ball
Yeah.
at the goal line. And
Yeah.
so the prop bet was
Yeah, he scored several touchdowns during the regular season.
right. And then he actually scored a touchdown
Okay.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the official first one, but it really wasn't mainstream until really once people could do stuff online.
But the prop bet's always been around. The coin toss has always been a big one.
Yeah.
But this is all this stuff was probably in the mid to late '90s when this really
Right,
started.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now
Then-
it's you know,
Oh, it's yeah. I
it's
mean,
everything.
if you're placing a prop bet on the first pitch of the 7th inning of a Cleveland Guardians game,
right.
yeah, that's way prevalent.
Hey, they have gambling on the G League.
I'll bet. I don't know why you would do it, but I bet they do.
But I'm betting that Bronny James scores 8 or more points tonight. Brian. Mm-hmm.
See, these are people that got problems because you don't know anything about any of this stuff, and you're just placing bets.
That's right.
You know.
Somebody's gonna do it.
Oh
They'll
yeah.
gladly take your money.
They're glad to take your money because they got people setting odds who actually know a little bit about it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
probably got
So,
the coach. The coach of the teams are probably just setting up the odds.
you know the famous
Getting paid.
saying, good God, Jim Moore. He's like, you think you know, but you just don't know.
You just
So
don't
many
know.
people think I know
Yeah.
the way I'm going to win this bet, but you
Right.
just don't know.
Yeah.
It is the reason why the line is where it is.
Yeah.
Sports books don't miss much.
No. Anyway, well, we're gonna end this show on this.
Yeah.
I got this story to tell you.
All
way
right?
back when I was a Ute.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I was working with a guy who was placing bets on NBA regular season games. Now this is in the 90s, so he had to go out and find a bookie. And he was literally losing on a regular basis. And like, why do you do this? Well, man, it's the excitement. Like, holy cow. But see, those people are out there and they're still out there and they're placing bets on G League games, you know, and
Yeah.
college swimming matches and other sort of
Yeah.
weird stuff because they need the excitement. So there you go, folks.
But that's it. That's I know people who actually say they gamble on games to make the games more exciting.
Watchable.
That's right.
Anyway, have you ever heard of
give them a reason to watch?
Anyway, have you ever heard the Pat Riley deal where the Lakers were playing and they were up by so many points, so he took Magic and a couple other starters out, and they started falling behind, so he put the starters back in to get the score up. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but yeah, they were winning by like 20 with 6 or 7 minutes left, and the score dropped below, their lead dropped below a certain point, so he put the starters back in to get the lead back.
Hey, Pat.
Hey,
In the 80s, Pat had that
Yeah.
hair moved back. He had that little, mafia look to him. Maybe he was hanging out.
I bet he had a phone in his car connected directly to all the bookies in New York.
Yeah, man.
So,
Hey.
all right, folks. Well, that's all we got for today. Tune in later because we're going to do more sports gambling because it's exciting. Remember, football's coming, and we're going to do a lot of stuff about football and money. So, That's all we got for today. Remember to like and subscribe because we need to go $1 zillion so we can place prop bets on swimming matches in Yugoslavia. So long, everybody.
So long, everybody.